I was always curious when I saw SD cards on Amazon with a crazy high memory capacity, 256 gigabytes, 512 gigabytes. I even found one that was 1 terabyte in a tiny little memory card. Were these cards fake? And if not, are they really necessary? Why would you need that much memory on one single card? Then I realized it's 2020 and high capacity SD cards are actually affordable and make life easier in the fact that you don't have to format them very often, meaning your old photo and video files have that extra level of safety and backup. So I went out and bought 7 of the biggest and best micro SD cards I could find on Amazon from the 3 brands I trust most: SanDisk, Lexar, and Samsung. I tested them on 4 different cameras shooting 4 different resolutions and frame rates to see if they'd work as well as how well they performed. The 7 cards I bought were the Lexar 1800X 128GB card, the Lexar 1000X 256GB card, the Lexar 633X 512GB card, the Samsung EVO Select 512GB card, SanDisk Extreme Pro 400GB card, SanDisk Extreme 512 gigabytes, and a 1 terabyte SanDisk Extreme card. Yes, I bought this for $260 US. I'll put links in the description to all of these cards as well as the other things you see in this video. The prices will definitely go up and down, so use these prices as a rough guide for what you might pay today. Now let's do a speed test. Usually companies will include the read and write speeds on the Amazon listing as well as the actual physical packaging. However, these numbers indicate the maximum possible speed for that card and not the average speed you're more likely to get while shooting. Read and write speeds are one of the most important things to look for when choosing an SD card, so I ran a speed test on all 7 cards using the Blackmagic speed test application, and the results I got were significantly lower than the numbers on the packaging. I started with the Lexar 128GB card. They claim it can read at 270 megabits a second and write at 150 megabits a second. This is by far the fastest card on this list on paper. However, when I tested it, I got 86.9 read speed and 78.8 write speed. That's a massive difference. Hopefully it could do more if it really had to, but I was pretty underwhelmed with this result because this is basically the most expensive 128GB card you'll find online, so you kind of expect a significantly higher read and write speed, and I didn't get it. Next was the Lexar 256GB card, and they claim it has a read speed of 150 megabits a second and an unknown write speed, although people on Amazon were saying it was between 50 and 100 megabits a second. When I tested, I got 86.2 read speed and 75.5 write speed, again well underneath those numbers. Next was the Lexar 512GB card, and it's advertised as having a read speed of 100 megabits a second and an unknown write speed. When I tested, I got 90.7 read speed and 77.2 write speed. That's actually better than the more expensive cards. Nice. Next was the Samsung 512GB card. They claim it can do a 100 megabits a second read speed and 90 megabits a second write speed. Well, I got 90.6 and 73.1, which is actually pretty close. So I consider that a pretty good result for the Samsung. With the SanDisk Extreme Pro 400GB, they claim it has a 170 megabits a second read speed and 90 write speed. Well, I got 89.4 read and 73.6 write. Again, well under what they've written, but still a decent number. Next was the SanDisk Extreme 512GB. They say it has 160 read speed and 90 write speed. I got 89.5 write speed and 74.8 read speed. Finally, with the big 1 terabyte, and this is basically the same as the last card. It has the same read and write speeds on the box, and I got the same results more or less when I did my test. By the way, I know this one looks fake since the font is a bit different to other SanDisk cards, but I did buy this from the official SanDisk Amazon store and can verify that it does hold 1 terabyte of storage. Next, I went out and recorded high quality video with the 7 cards using 4 different types of cameras. A GoPro Hero 8 Black shooting 4K 60 FPS with high bitrate selected. A Sony a7R IV mirrorless camera shooting 4K 30 FPS at 100 megabits a second. And Insta360 One X shooting 5.7K video at 25 frames per second. And the Candle QCam 8K shooting 8K 360 video at 30 frames a second. After trying all 28 combinations of cameras and cards, shooting 2-minute clips with each, which I consider to be the average clip length or slightly above, I was surprised to discover that all cards worked with all cameras. That's right, you can use a 1TB SD card with the One X, as well as all the other cameras. The footage wasn't compromised with any of the cards, and the cameras never overheated or stopped recording. Now, how much footage can each card shoot with each camera? I think you'll find these numbers kind of funny. Here's how much the GoPro can record at maximum video resolution with the 7 cards. And when looking at numbers like these, it makes it really tempting to get a big SD card. Look at that, over 20 hours of 4K 60 FPS video with a high bit rate with the 1TB card. That's nuts. I got similar results with the Sony a7R IV, which has insanely good file compression, by the way, and basically all of the cards here from 256 gigabytes and up give you really good recording times. You do have to use an SD card adapter, but that's not really a problem. With the One X, I got similar results to the previous 2 in terms of how much footage each camera could hold compared to the others. All of the 512 gigabyte cards can hold over 650 minutes, with the Samsung and SanDisk Extreme cards holding the exact same amount. The 1TB holds 1,354 minutes of 5.7K 360 video. That's a lot of minutes. I couldn't find the numbers for the QCam 8K, but I'll be sure to include a file size analysis when I make my review of it in the next few weeks. Regardless, I think the other 3 cameras give a good indication of how these cards perform against each other for file sizes. So when you weigh up the speed test, camera compatibility, and the price, the winner is the Lexar 633X 512 gigabyte card. Well done, yay! It produced speeds identical to the others, and it was $20 cheaper. However, while I will be using this card a lot more as a result of this test, it's not the card I trust most. The card I trust most is the SanDisk Extreme Pro in any storage capacity. Here I have the 400 gigabyte model, but there's also a 256, a 128, and so on. This is because firstly, it's the most recommended card by camera manufacturers on their list of compatible SD cards. Also, it's never, ever let me down. Whereas over the years, I've had corrupted cards with both Samsung and Lexar. This doesn't mean you will have issues if you buy those brands, but you could probably just say I have trust issues. I really think the 1TB card is overkill and makes no sense to buy when you can just get 2 512 gig cards of the same make for much cheaper. If you're looking for something a bit more budget friendly, then my card of choice would be the Lexar 633X 64 gigabytes for $9.99. Regardless of this experiment, I think any card you choose from this list will deliver a problem-free shoot. It's only when you're starting to go bigger with your resolutions and recording times that you should consider paying more for a card with higher read and write speeds. And yes, there are hundreds of SD card makes and brands out there that I've missed in this video, but it's usually a risk when you buy from smaller companies, since often cards can be fake, they can underperform or even corrupt, and your precious data probably isn't worth risking. I mean, yes, the exact same thing can happen with big brands too, just a smaller chance of happening. The final thing I'd add is that you should always check your camera's list of recommended SD cards on the company's website. While you probably won't find many of these cards on there, if you see they support a wide range of cards of the exact same brand or make, then it's likely you won't have any issues with these ones. If their list of compatible cards is limited, then you'll probably want to consider something else. Now I'm curious, which of these is your card of choice and why? Let me know down there in the comments, as well as any other SD card tips you want to share. Hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in the future. And that's it. Thanks for the memories.